Brendan Glasheen and Chris Marshall, great to have you with us for Tuesday Lacrosse. Syracuse coming off a tough loss on Saturday. On the same afternoon, they honored Mike Powell and his 22 jersey retirement. They fell in tough fashion. Hopkins comes back. As for Hofstra, they've had 10 days to prepare for the Orange, a team that can really get out and run. All right, we join you in progress. Syracuse and Hofstra, we apologize for the technical difficulties. 2-0 lead for the Pride. Syracuse operating on the left side of the field, wearing their road navies, orange numbers, orange helmets.
Yeah, and I think the based on the stats, sorry, we lost you there for a second. Some weather coming our way on Long Island, but 2 of 3 at the faceoff X. And 7 shots already for Hofstra.
Owen Hiltz just fired on the run. Nice stop and goal by Mac Gates, the senior from San Francisco. He's averaging about 11.5 saves per game. Scooped up by Gerard Kane. Seth Tierney calls him the straw that stirs the drink. He had to miss the Nova game. Number 11 in the white jersey. Colton Rudd, senior from Cumming, Georgia. Swings it back up top. Shot clock down to 50 seconds for the Pride. Hofstra this season averaging about 11 goals per game. Still trying to find their rhythm with young players. Syracuse slides to double the lefty, Trevor Natalie, 21 in the white jersey. The midi Trey Parks.
That's a good offensive set. Taking some time off the clock. And I like what they're doing here. Obviously, they got 2 quick ones early, but now making them think.
And John Madsen, the man we previewed before the game, a rip from outside. Hofstra leads 3-0. What a start for the Pride. 10 days to get ready for this showdown with the ACC opponent, Syracuse. Madsen and company have come to play.
Yeah, absolutely. They just kind of lulled him to sleep there. I mean, he looks like, Coach Gate wants to talk it over here, and he probably should. This is always a tough team to play at home. A lot of history, a lot of pride, no pun intended. But, I mean, that, I think, is a dream start if you're Hofstra.
We talked to Gary Gate this week. The youth for Syracuse has been showing lately. They'll talk it over. We will, too. Hofstra leads 3-0 against Syracuse at home. Tuesday night lacrosse on LacrosseTV. We'll be right back. Chase Patterson at the dot for Hofstra, opposing a rotation for Syracuse, a face-off by committee lately. Johnny Richiusa and Jack Fine. They both rotated in that Hopkins game. Fine was 8 of 14. Richiusa was 4 of 9, the Canisius transfer. Out there now, it's Richiusa. And Syracuse has the ball operating right to left. Hofstra leads 3-0. 2 goals from Justin Sykes. And then moments ago, a low-to-high laser by John Madsen, the team's leading goal scorer with 14 on the season. Michael Leo, the lefty, swings for Alex Simmons, the grad transfer from Denver. Finn Thomson up top for the Orange. For Syracuse, this was not the ideal start, just 2 days of rest after the Hopkins game.
Yeah, and you see the shot, a bit of a force there.
Goes awry.
And they're gonna let him keep that. Looked like he was trying to throw a twister shot there. Didn't get a reset, so goalie didn't get a piece of it.
Leo dumps it to Simmons. Leo had 2 goals, the freshman out of St. Anthony's. Often a hotbed for players to attend Hofstra, but Syracuse got him in the recruiting circuit. Syracuse has 15 freshmen on the roster. Blast from outside. Syracuse backs it up. I mean, you look at this team, Chris, Syracuse, 83% of their offense from players who did not see action at all last year. So that includes new players, transfers, first-year players, and players that were hurt, Owen Hiltz, a man included.
Nice trail check there. And I think that makes them dangerous. I mean, obviously there isn't a ton of film on them, and they don't have the chemistry yet, and that would bat it down in the middle. But this is a team that could get hot and dangerous later on. And there's Joey Spallina hard on the ride, getting the ball back for his boys.
One of the best riding attackmen out there, only a freshman. USA Lacrosse Magazine, USA Today, National Player of the Year in high school, highly sought after, as we know. Again, folks, we appreciate your patience with the tech. It is a rainy, snowy evening in Syracuse, so we'll do our best here, delivering the broadcast to you.
Spallina almost just stole another one there.
Matt Gates walking the ball up 20 yards to deliver, and Hofstra turns it over. You know, and for Syracuse, Chris, they actually took care of the ball for the most part on Saturday at the JMA Wireless Dome, but they had 5 turnovers of their 13 in the fourth quarter, and that's what allowed Hopkins to sneak out with the victory.
Well, it comes down to youth and experience and lack of chemistry. I mean, you talk about all the new players, and that's the sort of stuff that comes when you're under pressure. A little hidden ball here. Who's got it? Still up top.
Spallina.
Trickeration.
Birtwistle. Keep an eye on him and the man-up opportunities. Griffin Cook, one of the Syracuse captains, almost had it stripped. There comes the slide. Daniel Oakes, 50
Flag
and
down
white.
too.
Now
Free
time
possession.
for Spallina. On the goal line, finds his man, but stopped by Gates.
And I think this is probably going to be a push with possession based on when the flag came out. So we'll see what's going to come our way here.
Hofstra
Either
so
way.
far 9 shots to Syracuse's 7.
The Syracuse shots that we've seen so far haven't been great shots, though. And I think you really don't want to let Gates get really hot. And he's looking pretty sharp right now. But here's an opportunity for the Syracuse squad to get on the right side of the ledger.
Lethal on the EMOs this year. 21 of 36, 58%. Number 1 in the country in man-up goals, Syracuse. And their tic-tac-toe passing, there was a great video by TLN the other day. Would you take Syracuse on the EMO or Notre Dame? They've both been fantastic. The quick, rapid-fire ball movement. Ball's in the stick of Simmons. Now Finn
I think
Thomson.
they settled for kind of an early shot on that last one.
Simmons tiptoes, had an awkward angle, decides to hold on to it. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. 60 seconds for Syracuse. On the extra man. Kick to the top. Birtwistle. Got that one to go. He is a sniper from the outside. Jackson Birtwistle with his 14th of the season. 6th man-up goal of the year. Well,
and you see that it's just a great skip pass. They found the lane. He gets the shot away quickly. And that's Hiltz that's able to find him. And you get the quick release, low to low. That's a really, really good finish. And that's exactly what Syracuse needed here. But you see a little bit of an overcommit on the defensive side as Hiltz is able to thread the needle through the bamboo forest. And Birtwistle knows what to do with it from there. I mean, you get to about 10 yards. I mean, that's going to be a tough save to make.
Off the wing, Hofstra wins the faceoff. They're off and running. Richie Hicks, one of their short sticks that sees playing time. He's from Farmingdale, New York. Hofstra can set up. Colton Rudd, the lefty, number 7. He dishes to Justin Sykes, who has 2 of the 3 goals for the Hofstra Pride. Just their second game this season against a ranked opponent. Their only other was Villanova. Last time out from outside. Rory Jones fires wide. Hofstra
That's
there to
pretty
back
deep
it up.
out for that
It's
shot.
Rudd.
I mean, I think you look at how far back he is with that shot. Success they've had early on. You know, they were able to wear him down on that last possession.
They've got Will Mark, his head on a swivel, in goal for Syracuse, leads the country in saves at 105. Jones sets the screen for Madsen.
Yeah, you can look at that
Team's
two
leading goal
ways.
scorer.
He's seeing an awful lot of rubber.
Nice swim move by Gerard Kane. Great to have him back in the lineup. Kane almost does it himself. And a nice save by Mark to perhaps get some confidence after a slow start 11 minutes in.
And I don't hate that shot. Backs this guy down. I think the defender gets under it on the lift a little bit, disrupts the shot, doesn't get as much power as he would have liked, and looks like this one's coming back the other way.
This is what Syracuse struggled with in the fourth quarter at home on Saturday. Turnovers. Hofstra, another chance to bite. Already up 3-1. Griffin Turner, the sophomore, who has 11 points. Played his club lacrosse at TCU for one season in 2019. And the pole strips it for the Orange.
I always love to see the MCLA getting a little love.
Horned Frogs, they hope to make a run in the tournament, too. In men's college hoops, starting up this week. Cole Kirst, one of many in the Kirst family that plays lacrosse, one of the captains coming over from Lehigh, has been a great addition for an offense that so far we've discussed is very young, including the freshman from Toronto, Finn Thomson, and Syracuse executes. They turn it over and get a nice look to get within one.
That was Hiltz. I mean, that's such a lightning fast release. You get it over there. Gates didn't have time to reset. And by the time you're getting over there, that's not even a reaction save necessarily, as much as a positioning save as you're watching that come across. But I mean, you take a look at the quick release, and that is a very difficult shot to save. So, I mean, you calling on somebody early in this one from Syracuse. Hiltz has been the guy that's been answering the call. And you see this dodge across the top. He just pops out, boom, shot immediately. That couldn't have been in his stick more than about half a second. I mean, it's immediate and it's powerful. That's a very tough shot to save, even at a lower angle.
Yeah, Michael Leo did a good job, too, screening for him. Allows for a shield, and that is problematic for Matt Gates to see the ball. Hiltz with his 13th of the year, second on the team in goals. So Syracuse is within one. Hofstra scored the first three. Hiltz sets up 2021 USILA honorable mention All-American. He's now scored a point in 21 straight games. Spallina at X feeds, and another rifle for Syracuse. They've tied the game. Birtwistle.
Yeah, and that's just Spallina getting his man hung up. That's good off-ball movement, and then just picking his guy out. And your Birtwistle gets down there to about 6 or 7 yards. Just let her rip. And you know, if you're Gates, you just got to hope it hits you, because that's again a very difficult save to make. Gets his man hung up. Traffic in the middle. Great little shift over by Birtwistle. Get it over to his strong hand. Keep it on the inside. Takes that shot. Not a whole lot of opportunity for Gates to make that save.
I can only imagine the number of whistle puns he heard as a young man. Jackson Birtwistle, the redshirt sophomore from St. David's, Pennsylvania, now up to 15 goals on the season. And he is not shy to shoot 40-plus shots on the year.
Might want to play to the Birtwistle.
There you go, Chris.
You can have that one for free, Beach.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Griffin Turner now for the Pride. Hofstra tries to slow things down. We talked to Seth Tierney this week. His 3 keys for his team. He broke the 10-day break up into thirds. 1/3 use the rest. 1/3 work on us. And the other third is preparing. And he said about this Syracuse team, if we don't let them, or if we don't tie up their hands and let them get their hands free, they'll turn into the Harlem Globetrotters offensively.
Yeah, and we've seen a little bit of that. And I think that, you know, you saw a little bit more pressure on the front end. And certainly some more pressure on the EMO where they've been so successful, and it bit them. And so it'll be interesting to see what they try to do here moving forward in this game. Obviously, they had a little bit of success early, but they're going to have to force them into making mistakes.
The shot gap was eye-popping. Edge Hofstra early in the game. Syracuse within one now in that category. 13 shots for the Pride, 12 for the Orange.
And I think it's the shots are better shots for the last couple of ones that we've seen from Syracuse, and they've gone in.
At X, Anthony Malika. Nice ball movement to Sykes. He's got 2 of the 3 for the Pride. A rip from distance, and Hofstra scores again. Rory Jones gets involved.
Yeah, it's a big momentum goal. Towards the end of the quarter, obviously you let them get 3 back, and then you get back out in front. And you think Mark's probably not going to be happy with that one. It looked like he got a piece of it before it went in, but they all count the same. Hofstra's happy to have it.
Rory Jones from Abington, Maryland. He was a CAA All-Rookie Team selection a year ago. And Chris, he was not shy to step down and saw the appropriate angle to beat Will Mark.
Well, you see that traffic, going to man up there. That's just a nice finish. It's good offense.
And Hofstra regains the lead 4-3. High scoring first quarter. Still 1:16 remaining in the opening frame. Patterson had come away with the faceoff, but then the ball scrapes free all the way into the Hofstra defensive end. And Matt Gates, along with Daniel Oakes, the grad student, plenty of experience for Hofstra in the back end at close defense.
Looks like they got him off sides.
Not ideal. So the ball back to Syracuse. It can hold for the final shot of the quarter with about a 25-second gap between the shot clock and the game clock.
Yeah, and getting their plus personnel on here. And I think holding for the last shot here is probably the right move.
You'd think so, based on how up and down this has been. One-man show going towards the goal. It was Michael Leo, comes up empty.
Yeah, and then Spallina again on the ride, takes it right back.
It's one thing that's great about young players, right, is they are hungry as ever to be out there, Spallina included. Step down by Leo. Syracuse ties it at 4.
And that's one that's tough because you're so close to the end of the quarter there, and they just rushed after the crease violation instead of maybe holding on to it. That would have been okay, and they gave the ball away and then immediately gave up a goal. I mean, Syracuse got it back with about 17 seconds left. Only took them 8 to put that one in the back of the net. But again, if you're Hofstra, I mean, you really got to work hard to limit mistakes against this team that's so powerful. And again, just quick. Back behind the goal and then back up top, finding the lanes, picking the skip passes, creating good scoring opportunities. Watch out. Good if it counts.
From deep, Syracuse from the face-off X. Oh my, Jack Fine.
That's a bad news goal for Hofstra. I mean, you look at all the good work that you did in that first quarter, and something like that can take it all away. And I think you look at the great awareness from there, just fires it through traffic and looks like maybe takes a big skip bounce. Sometimes you get a little extra mustard off the turf when it's wet, and it didn't look like Gates ever saw it.
Unreal ending to the first quarter in Hempstead, New York. Syracuse gets the lead right back. Unbelievable stuff. It is the long pole, Saam Olexo, who scores the goal to make it 5-4. We'll step aside on LacrosseTV. Unbelievable stuff by Syracuse in the final seconds of the opening quarter. Saam Olexo from deep to beat the buzzer. A pole goal to wrap up an entertaining first quarter, Chris, that saw 9 goals.
Yeah, and it's just great awareness. I mean, obviously, same rules apply like in basketball, as long as it leaves your stick before the buzzer, and that's a great look, then it counts. A little bounce pass. I mean, I'm kidding about the Harlem Globetrotters.
No kidding. That's exactly what Seth Tierney feared. It was off the face-off, and then Olexo, like you said, the heads up to fire right away. Speaking of, Michael Leo's had the confidence early. He's got a goal for the Orange.
Well, and the ability. I mean, that's 50 yards. I mean, that's a good shot.
Now, Olexo coming into tonight, there was a chance he would be playing some closed defense. He normally does play LSM, but with personnel changes for Syracuse, Landon Clary banged up in the Hopkins game, they would be making some adjustments. Olexo with his second goal of the season. Hiltz drops it off, and Syracuse like that again. Tic-tac-toe, a score on the doorstep.
Well, I just kind of defensively live by the sword, die by the sword. I mean, really aggressively going into those two-man games for Hofstra on defense. I mean, pressuring out, and they just got back cut. And I think it's good offense beating aggressive defense. And that's exactly what, Syracuse wants you to do. They want you to overcommit. And you watch as this one comes across the top, see two men come towards the slide, boom, wide open on the doorstep. I mean, it's good awareness. You got to find that guy, but it's good awareness, good IQ. Well done. Put yourself in a position to be successful.
Finn Thomson gets a turn. The Toronto native, former Ontario Junior Lacrosse League MVP. His brother Tanner Thompson playing in the National Lacrosse League for the Albany Firewolves. 2-goal lead for the Orange. Hofstra led this one 3-0 in the first half of the opening quarter. Now the Pride looks to stop this run. Griffin Turner, the sophomore, spins out of traffic, drawing the double. Rory Jones blasts one, and it's backed up by Hofstra's Colton Rudd, who normally operates behind the goal. CAA Game of the Week on LacrosseTV. Tuesday, lacrosse, Syracuse and Hofstra. First meeting since 2003.
Defenseman way out on Madsen, too.
Drive and kick, Sykes. Spin move by Kane. Hofstra there once again. This time it's Griffin Turner.
Yeah, still 17 seconds here on the shot clock. I mean, they've got time to spin it. I mean, they've been trying to go at the shorties, but haven't had much success.
Offense has been optional so far tonight. 17 shots for Syracuse, 15 for the Pride. They look to snake one in. Nice awareness by Mark. Standing on his head since the first few minutes of the game.
And that's a good ground ball in traffic from Jones. Keep the Pride on offense.
Turner on the move. Once again, it's Rudd. Shot clock resets to 60 seconds. That rule was implemented in 2021 when the offense gets a reset.
Yeah, didn't see if that one caught the pipe or if Mark got a piece of it. Either way, you get a fresh minute.
Turner and Rudd have been taking turns behind the goal. They pitch and catch. Madsen.
If Madsen had been looking for the shot instead of the feed there, that would have been a good opportunity.
This is great patience by Hofstra. Rudd faked the pass, and he was in the crease. Syracuse holds its end defensively.
Yeah, and Madsen was the look there. I mean, he was in about 12 yards. He had room to step down. It looked him off, thought he had a window. Defender didn't bite. The move to Madsen was the play there.
Now the Orange back on offense. Syracuse has lost 4 in a row, all the ranked opponents. Picked 5th in the ACC preseason poll. In a midweek game coming off a loss on Saturday to Hopkins. Griffin Cook tracks it down for the Orange. Shot clock to 30 seconds. A lot of young stallions on this Syracuse offense. Attack and midfield. More experience at the midfield with Simmons and Kirst. Olexo with the goal from midfield. Thomson scored a moment ago. Now Spallina's drilled. A flag comes out.
Yeah,
Syracuse once again will go with the extra man opportunity.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 30-second hold going against Spallina. That's an easy call. I mean, I think you're either going to get a hold or a slash there, depending on how they saw it, but went down, got hooked. And so again, it's just making something happen when he's got the ball.
Again, as we talked about, Syracuse tops in the country in man-up goals this season. Oakes commits the penalty for holding. For Syracuse, the ball movement has been so crisp with the extra man. Hiltz starts up top, quick pass Thomson, and a good look for the Orange.
Yeah.
Just could not convert.
It's so quick. They still 16 seconds.
That might be all they need. Thomson to the goal line. Hiltz. He can make it from there. BTB pass, and it just goes wide of Spallina looking for it. It went right by his shoulder. So Hofstra comes up with the stop.
Yeah, and back to full strength here too.
The Pride clears the ball. That was something Syracuse struggled with. And for Hofstra, they had their woes in the clearing game against Villanova. Well, if there's one thing Hofstra's done really well, at least early in the game, to get a 3-0 lead, they've picked apart Dave Petramala's defense. It's detailed, organized, and well thought out. And Seth Tierney joked it's the opposite of how he was as a player. Trey Parks fires on the run, save Will Mark.
Yeah, certainly a couple of guys who know each other very well. Spent a lot of time around the game and a lot of time around each other.
And they were at Johns Hopkins.
Hopkins.
That's right, as players. Dave, 2 years older, graduated in 1989. Seth Tierney, 1991. Finn Thomson rips it away. Syracuse can set up, leading by 2.
And look out, here's an extra man opportunity. Sub through the box, or through the midline, rather, for Hofstra. Nice
Orange
recovery.
has scored 6 of the last 7 goals at X. Syracuse moving often in their wheel sets on the extra man and in the 6-on-6. Thomson now sets the screen. Down the alley, Syracuse scores again.
And that's just good individual effort. But I think you get better matchups because they're getting the defense rotating so quickly. And then again, the defense is scrambling. And I think that still goes back to Spallina getting his man hung up behind. And then you're moving it up top. You're getting a more favorable matchup. And then you're able to come downhill. And I think, the aggressive nature of how Hofstra's been playing on defense has been hurting them a little bit here since the start.
Alex Simmons with his first of the night. Syracuse now has 6 different goal scorers.
I think it's what makes them dangerous. I mean, you got a bunch of talented players who are unselfish. I mean, that's why I think, you really get this offense clicking towards, when they get into ACC play. I mean, no one's going to remember these games they lost at the beginning of the season if they run through the ACC slate.
And despite this losing streak, Syracuse is still receiving votes in the Inside Lacrosse media poll. Simmons, grad transfer from Denver, in his career scored 50 goals. Or started in 50 games, rather. Scored 81 goals in 129 career games. That's his 8th of the year. Shot on the run. Much needed save for Gates to get some confidence back. That shot was right at his chest. So the Syracuse Orange trailed 3-0. They've scored 7 of the last 8 goals. And currently riding a 4-0 run.
Yeah, and they've looked really comfortable. It looks like Hofstra needs to talk it over.
Hofstra Pride take a timeout trying to halt this Syracuse run.
And I think
from midfield at the end of the first, Thomson and Simmons have scored for the Orange so far here in the second. Want to tell you about Saturday's CAA women's lacrosse matchup. It features number 5 Stony Brook and the Blue Hens of Delaware. They'll take the opening draw at 3 Eastern. CAA women's lacrosse all season on LacrosseTV. Sorry, Chris, you had a thought there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm excited for that game. I mean, Stony Brook coming off of a a tough one at Northwestern. I mean, I suspect they'll be looking for blood in that game. Very good team. And I think when you look at this timeout, I mean, I think just needs a rest. I mean, the defense been playing a lot of defense. Offense has gotten decent opportunities. I mean, this was just like it's 3 goals, right? You look at what you're doing. You're creating some pretty good offense. You're just not quite putting the finishing touches on it since you got those first 3. So just keep doing what you're doing. Don't lose your composure. But I think this is much about, just giving the defense a rest and then regrouping with the offense as anything else. I don't think this is one of those, we really got to stop them. It's like, hey, let's get back to playing the game plan that we set up coming into this one.
Yeah, Seth Tierney said it, and I think you're right. Based on that Olexo goal, if you let these guys get their hands free, man, Syracuse really is tough when they put it all together on offense. They become the Harlem Globetrotters. That was the line by Coach Tierney.
But, at the same time, they also don't have a ton of experience, either in total games, either in college or together. So you saw them hurt themselves at the end of that Hopkins game. And so this certainly isn't a game that's over. I mean, you could let it get away from you, certainly. But Hofstra is still very much in this game if they just, button down the hatches a little bit here.
Let's see what they drew up out of the timeout. Of course, they're trying to look for higher percentage looks and taking care of the ball, because if you let Syracuse get out and run, they are dangerous. Griffin Turner dashes down the lane, decides to dump off to Gerard Kane, the Ohio State transfer. Did play for Hofstra last year, did not suit up for the Buckeyes in 2021. Now it's Rory Jones, who scored on a rip from outside earlier in the game. Jones tries to go stick side on Mark. Got him leaning slightly, but the shot went wide.
Well, and that's something we're seeing more guys practice. I mean, I think you look at, Joe Walters, Rob Pinnell, Lyle Thompson. I mean, that sort of back pedal torque shot low to high is something that you're seeing a lot more of, and it's been pretty effective rather than trying to get downhill with the twister. And so, I mean, I think that's a decent shot.
Brandon Aviles, the short stick for Syracuse, was beat momentarily. Came with the shot, saved by Mark. Airs it out, and Syracuse is on the move in transition. Orange has numbers. The pole, bidding and missing wide. Kakemo, I believe, that was who took the shot on the move. He's got 1 shot logged this season. It's like deer in headlights in a good way when Syracuse is out and running like that.
Well, I think it's confidence. You have 2 poles coming down there on the fast break, and those are the 2 guys that touch the ball.
Roa, his feed intended for Griffin Cook, but a mishap on the pass, turnover. Oaks and Hofstra look to clear. We're coming up on 6 minutes to go in this second quarter between Syracuse and Hofstra. Midweek game, final tune-up game for the Pride before CAA play begins on March 18th. They host Fairfield. Hofstra gives the ball right back to Syracuse, so the clear game has been a struggle for Seth Tierney's squad.
I mean, both teams have been struggling. I mean, you get real bad weather out there. You get the wind, the rain, snow. It's going to affect some of those longer passes.
Syracuse runs it set from the middle of the field. Ball just hanging out behind X. Still early in the shot clock. Gates read it well, almost a second bid for the Orange, and poked away by Hofstra. Now Corey Kale, who was shouted out by Coach Tierney in our call this week. He wears that precious number 27 to honor the late Nick Coliori, who passed away back in 2006. It's a Hofstra tradition. Nick passed away of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the Headstrong Foundation, one of the best traditions in college lacrosse going.
Absolutely. Lack Stash Madness. They're also an option for Amazon Smile, if you're looking for one.
Spin move out of traffic. Keep an eye on Hiltz, 77 in the navy and orange. He is that lefty sniper, can also release it with finesse from that left side. Ball's up top, on the move, backed up by Spallina. That previous shot by Luke Roa, the freshman. 42 seconds remain for the orange. Spallina finds a cutter. Back up top to Spallina. Now it's goal line extended. Hofstra staying stout and locked in defensively. Gates has his eyes from behind the goal. Hiltz trying to move. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Up top, quick pass by Cook. Now Spallina with 3. With 2, Spallina. Save Gates.
Yeah, not a whole lot of option there. I mean, towards the end of the shot clock, I mean, you either roll it to the corner or try and take a tough shot. I mean, you don't hate that. But you've seen Syracuse get Hofstra hung up a number of times. So you wonder if they like that look better.
We know Gary Gate with this young team, he's made trips to this venue before in Hempstead, New York. Syracuse with previous NCAA tournament games in 97, 98, early 2000s, the 2009 title season. One of 11 national titles in Syracuse history. Nice play by Rudd to hold on to the ball. Madsen, who helped the Hofstra Pride go up 3-0, and Syracuse has gone on a 7-1 run since. Hofstra scored the last 4 goals. But there's been more defense. Yep, there's a flag on the field.
That was in the neighborhood of a slash. And can't take advantage of the free possession. See, we get the call from the official here. But I think based on where they were in the field, that's what it was looking like.
So we'll get our first look at the Hofstra man-up unit. Pride this season, 28%, 7 of 25. Syracuse has a 27%, holding their opponents to just 27% on the man down. Madsen.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 minute slash.
Up top, it's Rudd. Rory Jones, he's certainly capable. Here's Kane, who sets the screen. Also out there, Justin Sykes scored the first 2 goals of the game. Rudd, the former All-Georgia honorable mention. It's just a great presence on this attack unit. Madsen spinning. Madsen fires. And Mark gets there. Madsen almost buried that shot from distance.
Yeah, when that was a good pressure. You know, you're not going to let him get the rotation going. This is trouble.
Step down, and Gates comes back with a stop. Another pole bid by the Orange. It was Kakemo, the Yale transfer for the Orange. He was not shy to shoot it moments ago in a few previous sequences for Syracuse. And you got to imagine, Chris, when you've lost 4 in a row, you're on the road. Syracuse has only won 1 road game in the last 688 days. It was last year at Stony Brook. You got to think they want to let this unit play a little more loose for a young team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you take on the personality of who's in charge. I mean, it's like Gary Gate likes to run. He wants to score goals. I mean, it's an exciting player, exciting team, and you've got this kind of talent. I mean, sometimes you're carrying a hammer, sometimes you're carrying a brush, and I think this is a team that carries a brush, and let them be artists. And so this is a team that I think towards the end of this year and into next year is going to be really, really something.
I would agree, my friend. Let's look back in time. We mentioned how Syracuse played Hopkins over the weekend. Syracuse defensive coordinator is Dave Petramala, the former head coach of the Hofstra Pride. And there's his old pal, Seth Tierney. They were teammates for 2 years at Johns Hopkins. And then Seth was also on Petro's coaching staff for a long time. These guys go way back, late 80s, early 90s. Dave was number 43 in that photo, for those of you looking. Seth 13. Petro in the front row, Seth in the last row. Guess that's how it works when you're older. You get to sit up front and pick the spot you want. But those guys were together for a long time on the staff. And now, of course, Dave Petramala is on the staff of the Syracuse Orange, and Seth Tierney in year 17 leading the Pride.
Yeah, a lot of really, really good Hopkins teams when those guys were playing and coaching. So I mean, a lot of history, certainly, and a lot of these relationships run deep for in the lacrosse community.
And it's the beauty of the Creators Game, 2001 to 2006 on the Hopkins staff. We have 80 seconds to go in the first half. Hofstra looking to get back on the board. It's been a while since the Pride last scored. You have to go back to the Rory Jones goal, 1:16 remaining in the first. So we're coming up. It's been a full quarter of gameplay the last time Hofstra scored.
Yeah, they have slowed the bleeding, though. I mean, they gave up 5 in the first. Obviously, that big momentum goal at the end, but only 2 in this one. So despite the fact that they're not scoring, they're not letting it get further away.
That's true. No goals scored in the last 8 minutes. Spin shot by Madsen, darts it wide.
Yeah, 12 left here. They're going to have to move pretty quickly.
And maybe Syracuse will get another chance. Justin Sykes, the lefty, skip to Madsen. Ball's loose. And the Syracuse Poles are active.
Well, that one almost fell to Rudd. If he'd been able to pick that one up, I mean, he would have had a doorstepper.
We're approaching halftime on Long Island. Syracuse didn't start well. It trailed 3-0, and they've ripped off 7 of the last 8 goals. And we got ourselves a timeout. For a second there, I thought we were getting a free alley to the goal.
Yeah, it looked like Avila's wanted that one. I don't blame him.
Timeout, Syracuse, with, as of now, 16.1 seconds on the clock. I'm curious if they might add some time, depending on when Gary Gate got that timeout off.
I mean, we've seen it. I mean, they got the ball with about 17 seconds left in the first quarter and scored 2 goals. So I think when you look at the time on the clock, that's certainly enough time for them to, get a 2-man game, get a good shot, get a back cut. So I'm sure they've got a play drawn up for 16 seconds. So this will be interesting. But like I said, I mean, 2 goals in 17 seconds to end the first. So you still got to be on your toes if you're Hofstra.
He's Chris Marshall, Brendan Glasheen. It's great to have you with us on a Tuesday night for college lacrosse. Syracuse and Hofstra, first meeting in 20 years in the regular season. Be sure to follow LacrosseTV on social media. All kinds of great content for fans to enjoy. You'll get news from the lacrosse world, including game highlights and interview clips. Follow at Watch Lacrosse TV on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And YouTube. Plenty of spots to check out all the good stuff. So Syracuse comes out. What are you expecting here, Chris, as far as a set for the Orange?
I mean, it looks like they're going to be coming from up top. See if they can draw the slide early and catch a back cut. Maybe look for Spallina creeping up from behind the cage.
10 seconds to work with. Spallina.
He's got some space here.
He sure does. He spins and fires. That was close. Almost went to that top left corner. Almost stung it, but we've reached halftime at James M. Shuart Stadium in Hempstead. Hofstra led 3-0 in the opening minutes. And then Syracuse finally settled into the game, scoring 7 of the final 8 goals. We'll take a break. It's halftime. Syracuse 7, Hofstra 4. You're watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lacrosse TV.
And welcome back to Shuart Stadium. Brendan Glasheen, Chris Marshall with you for the second half of action. Syracuse up on top 7-4. But this one going 3-0 in favor of the Pride to start the game. Syracuse came storming back with 5 of their own. Things quieted down a little bit in the second quarter, 2-0 in favor of Syracuse, and that brings us to where we are at 7-4. But certainly a lot of lacrosse left to play here.
Chris, it's been a great game. Hofstra started out as hot as you'd want to, playing a great team with so much firepower like Syracuse. I thought Joey Spallina, 2 plays that stood out were the 2 plays he had on the ride. And those extra oomph kind of plays, that 50-50 ball pursuit by Syracuse, I thought really helped propel them to go on that big run, scoring 7 of the final 8 in that first half.
Absolutely. And effort's contagious. I mean, you got good players out there playing hard. Everybody wants to play hard. I mean, that's a culture thing. And, you know, when you've got guys like that are playing as hard as he is, other guys watch and do the same.
Hofstra's won 7 faceoffs, Syracuse 6. Leo with that previous shot for the Orange. They get a reset at 60 seconds, now down to 40. Kirst feeds Thomson on the door. It's Spallina. The run continues for Syracuse, now 5-0, up 8-4.
And that's just good lacrosse. I mean, I think you look at Kirst looking across, Spallina sees that his man turned his head, and then he just goes and gets open. And you look at the off-ball movement that Syracuse has been getting in this game and the skip passes that they've been throwing, and the ones that have been getting through have been goals. But it's just a really heads-up play. You see the defender that was on Spallina take a step towards him, loses him, and then he's wide open. And that's just a great look right across the crease. No chance for the goalie there when Spallina catches it up front like that.
Joey Spallina now has had at least 1 goal in all 8 games this season for Syracuse. They win the draw off the wing. And also, Chris, how about the balance? They've had 7 goal scorers tonight, 2 from Birtwistle on the outside.
I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for. It's unselfish. It also helps when you've got the depth of talent that Syracuse usually does, but you still have to move the rock and give people opportunities to score.
Another bullet by the Orange.
Like Cook.
It's Cook getting involved. That's his first of the game. Make it 8 goal scorers, 9 goals for Syracuse.
And again, that's what makes him dangerous. And he saw the opening coming across and takes the shot from outside through traffic. That's a tough save for Gates to make through traffic like that. So he comes it, you see, cuts across the top, no slide coming, takes the shot, finds the back of the net. Got to shoot to score.
And that is just too much room for Cook, the local product from Syracuse, New York. Played his high school ball at Jamesville DeWitt. Former Under Armour All-American, 2-time USILA All-American at JD. And he's one of the few veterans, long-tenured players on this team. We talked about it. Syracuse has 22 new additions overall, 15 freshmen. Can Hofstra stop the bleeding? It's a 6-0 scoring run for the Orange.
Yeah, and that's certainly not how you wanted to start it. I mean, especially you get a free possession off the procedure call going against Syracuse at the faceoff. Go in there, get into a little bit of offense, and then just throw it away. But already given up 2 here in the third. That's as many as they gave up in the second. And you know, we're 2.5 minutes in here. So this is the type of gut check time in the game where you need to make a big play, and then they just get one right there.
Orange turned it over in the stick of John Madsen, who does have 1 goal tonight. Well, and really for the Orange, too, you look at their game Saturday, held to 9 goals. Game was tied at 8 going into the fourth quarter. But before that, Duke, Carolina, and Maryland, Syracuse was in that 12 to 13 range. Scoring hadn't been the problem. It was defensively trying to hold those other offenses in check. And offense has come to play tonight. We've seen flashes too, right? UAlbany 20 spot, Holy Cross 15. So we know this offense is plenty capable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no shortage of talent. I mean, we know that for sure. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together. I mean, just because you've got talent, looks like we got a player down here on the far side. Didn't get a good look at the number, but might have to step aside here for a minute while they tend to him.
Got Gerard Kane back, who was banged up, had to miss the Nova game. And play resumes 3+ minutes into the third. Syracuse leads 9-4 on a 6-0 goal-scoring run.
And I think if you're Hofstra, you just got to get better shots. We're not seeing them generate as good of shots as I think you'd like. They've got some talented players here on offense. And, Syracuse isn't playing quite as aggressively on defense as we've seen Hofstra play. And, they're just not being able to create the shots. But here's an opportunity to go man up.
A Rudd from X was tripped up by Saam Olexo, the long pole who scored from midfield at the end of the first quarter. A long pole goal from deep.
It looks like they're going to give him the slash as well instead of the trip. So that's a break there for Hofstra. They'll get an extra 30 seconds.
Yeah, cross checks have been a point of emphasis here at the close to midway point of the season. We're not quite there yet. These two teams, Syracuse has played 7 games. Hofstra's played 6. Both teams have 8 games to go. But some slashes tonight on Long Island.
Well, the cross check is like half the plays could be called cross checks. I mean, I think it's just true. You gotta figure out exactly how you want to call it and be consistent. That's the most important thing. Just being consistent.
No, consistency in officiating. No one ever says anything about that.
I can't believe he got that shot off.
It was a tremendous look. Anthony Malika, we haven't called his name much. He's a freshman, former New York State champion in high school, 2019. Malika took 2 shots in the Nova game, but did not score. Syracuse clears momentarily. They do have it. They'll kill some clock.
And I think that one's going to be a trip when that flag came out, coming across the midline. So now free possession.
How do the Orange operate this time? No surprise. It's Spallina behind the goal. To the cutter. Gates read it well. Ball still loose. Gates and several members of the Pride in Orange in on it. And there's tempers flaring. This doesn't feel like the homecoming for Joey Spallina right now. He is spoiling Hofstra's home field the way he's played tonight. Another flag
he's going to go on timeout here. So we'll see what the calls from the officials as they get together here.
Chris, here's a great nugget from John Stark, Syracuse men's lacrosse sports information director. The Cuse closing in on a 20-minute stretch in which it's holding their opponent scoreless. It'll be the 4th time this season they've done that.
That's impressive work. You start stringing some more of those together. Like I said, I mean, it is not a talent problem. It's just getting the chemistry and getting the players all on the same page. But I think going to be a little 5-on-5 here, at least for 30 seconds. And then I think we'll be looking at some 6-on-5 from the defense. Man down offense. If Syracuse can hold on to it, I suspect that they will do that.
Well, 5-on-5, no strangers to that with the box background for some of these Syracuse attackmen. Simmons just having fun up there with Thomson. And a nice look by Hiltz, but comes up empty.
Well, it's always interesting too, because I mean, you see them, playing in the. Well, let's see here. It looks like the 5-on-4.
A true power play look.
Yeah, there was two.
And
two
Hiltz buries it.
But how we got there was offsetting, I suppose, unsportsmanlike against Sheridan and Spallina, and then you had the trip, and that's how we got to a 5-on-4 action. That is an unusual setup.
Owen Hiltz, 14 goals now on the season, his 4th multi-goal game of his redshirt sophomore season. You really feel for this kid from Peterborough. Did not play the entire year last year, was hurt in the preseason, put up monster numbers his freshman year in 2021. It is great to see him back out there and flourishing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see him, you let him get to 8 yards and step down. That one's going to find the back of the net. And I think that's what you needed from Hofstra.
Oh, for Hofstra. Colton Rudd, thanks to the Patterson win at the faceoff dot, they come right back and finally stop the bleeding. Yeah,
and that's a big goal. And I think you look at this Hofstra squad. I mean, obviously they got a guy in Patterson that goes 63% from the faceoff X. He's having a really nice day. Today as well, 10 for 16, right in line with where he usually is in that 60 to 65 range. They can win some of these draws. They just need to create better shots, and that was just a good shot coming on the break that they were able to find the back of the net with. So, and that's going to be a procedure call going against Hofstra. But this game is far from over. They just need to get better shots. The shot volume is there. And the shots on goal are there. They just need to get a little closer, change the plane, have a little better shots.
Shout out to the grad student Danny DeSanti, the long pole who hit Rudd from Patterson, who gets the hockey assist there to help Hofstra finally score its first goal since the final minute in change of the first quarter, to make it 10-5. Hofstra led 3-0 in this lacrosse game.
Yeah, and those unsportsman's likes were locked in, so now back to 6s.
Spallina, he can pretty much play anywhere. Now he's up top. Spallina working in. Gates makes a heck of a play. The follow-up, I think the man was in the crease. There's a flag, though, so I beg your pardon. There was a flag on the floor.
He got crushed from behind. I think that's probably going to be a cross-check.
So you start talking about the cross checks, and now they finally come up.
Well, I mean, he got hit. He coming in there. He was standing on the crease. I mean, you don't need to give him much more than kind of a butt end to the backside, and he'll find his way in. But I mean, he took a pretty big hit coming through the middle. It's like legal body check 1 minute. It's not going to be locked in. Doesn't look like so. But another self-inflicted wound here for Hofstra. I mean, they're trying to play defense here with one hand tied behind their back, and that is absolutely not what you want to do against these guys.
On the door, it's Joey Spallina, I beg your pardon. It's Spallina on the door, his second of the night.
And again, that's just a high lacrosse IQ play. He saw that they were not ready defensively. He just sort of crept up towards GLE. I mean, normally he's going to start that a little further back, towards X, and he just sees them out of position. So there he is up by GLE. Boom. Goalie's not looking. Defenders aren't ready for him. I mean, that's 4 feet from the cage. You put that in the net every time.
As they deserved, we hyped up this Syracuse man-up offense. It didn't score on its first 2 chances. Orange 2 for 2 on their last 2 opportunities. First one belonged to Owen Hiltz and then Joey Spallina to make it 11-5.
Well, and that's one of the ones you're coach and you're watching that one that you get mad about. Really good offense is going to be good defense. I mean, just because that's sort of how it's designed, especially in something like that. But that one's a cheap one because they just weren't in position.
Colton,
and so those are the ones that grind your gears as a coach.
Oh, I can only imagine what that atmosphere is like on the sideline. Rod on the move. Gets checked from behind, and Syracuse is not going to get away with that.
Yeah, and that's, I think, going to be in the helmet. I bet this one's going to be locked in.
Well, hey, it's another break for Hofstra to stay in the game.
And so they're going to reset the shot clock there too, but that's going to be a minute. Legal body check to the head. But really, really need to find the back of the net here. Not only to cut into the lead, but also, for the momentum factor. And, it's disappointing the weather's been so bad too, because, this is a game that I think would have been a really big draw on a Tuesday night, primetime game. Syracuse in town for the first time in 20 years for a regular season game. Yeah, and obviously, Joy Spallina, Long Island.
Right.
This I'm disappointed that the weather was not cooperating.
It's lacrosse for you. And of course, folks that are Syracuse fans would say, well, we do have a dome in central New York.
You got to travel to play sometimes.
Yep. This is true.
Because I've seen some big midweek games during the summer, some pro games at Shuart that are rowdy and fun. Tell you what, that's a great place to see a lacrosse game.
Ball was moving swiftly for the Pride. Nice look for Rod, just missed it wide. And Hofstra backs it up. That was a 1-minute unnecessary roughness penalty. So still time for the Pride. 6-on-5. Rory Jones. That was a rocket.
Needed that one. And again, that's a good goal. Absolute rip. Just put it, off stick, top corner. That's absolute ripper. So that's one that they needed bad right there. And now they got to start leaning on Patterson a little more to go out and give them a few more opportunities here on offense. But you see defense cut down a little bit. He's got the space there. A little bit of a 3-hop crow hop there to get in, really get that momentum cooking. And, when he takes a couple of extra steps in there, it's a little harder to figure out exactly when he's going to release it.
It was as if he was making a do or die play in right field to throw out a base runner.
That's a good ground ball in traffic from Kirst as that one popped out. He just attacked the ball. That's what you love to see from your offensive players when a ground ball pops out like that. Attack the ball.
So it is 11-6. Rory Jones capitalizes with the extra man for Hofstra. Feed in front. And Syracuse doesn't waste time. Finn Thomson. He crawled right through the middle of the Hofstra defense and puts it in.
Well, and they're spending a lot of time there right on the front side of the crease. And they're finding the passes. And you got to have confidence to make those passes when you're coming through, because you're looking at traffic. But again, they're just doing well moving off the ball. And they're having to respect, those wing players like Kirst, who've been scoring too. But to just pick that one out, it's a good look and a good goal. But it's putting yourself in a position to be successful.
And another face-off win for Johnny Richiusa. He's got a tough test in Patterson, who was held his own at the dot. Chris, I'm so impressed. Syracuse, while it's been a balanced score sheet, a bunch of guys get involved. One thing that's been consistent, their middies, attackmen on the wings, they're getting it to Spallina at the X, and then he's just picking apart the defense from underneath.
Yeah, and there's another strong ride coming the other way. Puts the defender out of bounds. And Syracuse gets the ball right back. So everybody's playing hard on the ride, and it's it's bearing fruit for them. You do not want to let Syracuse have any extra offensive possessions.
Off balance bid, Syracuse to back it up. That was the fear for Hofstra. If you're Seth Tierney, yes, 10 days off to get some rest, work on us, and prepare, but you got to a walking, now awakened giant in Syracuse off a really tough loss to Hopkins on Saturday. There's some barking now between Spallina and the official, the one behind him on the goal line, and then the one up top, and he can't figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, it looks like the officials are coming together. I don't see anyone heading towards the box. I think they were, and it was 57 seconds when the shot went out. So I don't know if they were going to get a reset on that one, and that's exactly what they were looking for. But a lot of movement on the field for 3 seconds. I was wondering when that ball went out of bounds if they were going to get the reset, and they do, but a lot of work
from the sidelines and from Spallina, maybe giving away his dinner plans. Syracuse is on their spring break. They are heading to a Broadway musical in New York City, some team bonding activity later this week, since their next game is not till March 21st against St. Bonaventure.
You know what they're going to see?
I do. MJ on Broadway is the show the Orange is planning on seeing. Yeah. Be a good time. Trip to the Big Apple for New York's college team. Hofstra's got something to say about that. The Pride, bodies getting in there at X, and now the officials get involved. The last man I saw hop in there for Hofstra. Yeah, Wrecker in there cooling.
I mean, it looked like Gates caught Spallina in the back there. But either way, that one's coming up. The push, no possession, just change of possession there. But
Griffin,
they do get a reset.
Cook has the shorty on him. Cook. Ball sprays out. And recovered by Hofstra. Pride on the run. DeSanti helps ignite some transition. Now they can get 6-on-6. We're under 4 to go in the third. On Long Island, Tuesday night lacrosse. Syracuse and Hofstra, their first meeting in 20 years. Great to have you with us tonight on LacrosseTV. Brendan Glasheen and Chris Marshall. For the Orange, Syracuse is 3-4. Losers are 4 straight. A win tonight would match Syracuse's win total from all of last year. They went 4-10 in Gary Gates' first season. They're trying to get this program back on the map. Madsen. He's trying to get going. Scored early in the game. Oh, spin move on the goal line. And Will Mark fell down. That was a golden chance. Syracuse wins the hustle play.
Yeah, and Gary Gates' successor on the women's side, Kayla Trainer, obviously a great player, women's player at Syracuse. Should have added a little bit more hardware as a player, I think, individually, including the Tuorton. But I think you look at the job that she's doing, and I mean, that Syracuse machine on the ladies' side is something this year. They are real good.
And on the men's side, it's been Virginia. They've had some dominant performances offensively. Number 1 in the IL rankings again this week. Syracuse receiving votes in the latest IL media poll. And offensively, they've displayed all of their weapons tonight.
Yeah, like I said, with a team this many new players, this many young players, I mean, you're going to see a lot more of who they're about in the ACC schedule.
And
so we might be dealing with a little bit of wind here.
Yep. Clock's still moving. Ball's on the opposite side of the field. tonight for the Cuse. 4 multi-goal scorers: Hiltz, Spallina, Thomson, and Birtwistle.
They'll try and get this camera back online here for you, but dealing with the weather as well, just like the players out there.
Face off today. And here we go. Hofstra on offense, Rudd the dish.
And we're in a man up here for Hofstra. It was a 1 minute unnecessary going against Joey Spallina. So didn't catch it coming back on the ride before the camera went down, but that's what we were looking at.
And welcome back to James M. Shuart Stadium on Long Island, home of the Hofstra Pride. Syracuse leads Hofstra 12-6. Brendan Glasheen and Chris Marshall with you tonight. Thanks so much for joining us on Lacrosse TV. Syracuse really put the hammer down in the third quarter, held Hofstra scoreless for 20-plus minutes. But we still see Hofstra playing with some spunk. They've had some chances thanks to the EMO. And for Syracuse, they've responded well in those chances. Syracuse tonight, 4 multi-goal scorers, and they've also had 8 different goal scorers overall. If Syracuse wins tonight, it would match its win total from all of last year. They went 4-10. They would go to 4-4 with a win tonight.
Yeah, and an important one. I mean, they got a couple of, really winnable games heading into ACC play. So I think that's where you want to try and really work on the chemistry, try and work out the kinks that were giving you trouble, the mistakes, especially in the clear and the turnovers that hurt them against Hop, and really try and clean some of that stuff up before they get into league play, because there will be no breaks in the ACC.
All gas, no breaks.
Indeed. But also opportunity. I mean, when you look at a bunch of top-rated teams that you get to see at the end of your schedule, that gives you a great opportunity. Even if the win-loss total isn't what you'd hoped for, to create some meaningful victories in the eyes of the voters.
The Cuse is back at the JMA Wireless Dome on March 21st. They're enjoying their spring break after today, making a trip to New York City. They'll see a Broadway musical and spend some time together, some team bonding activity. St. Bonaventure, Hobart, their remaining non-conference games. They also play at Princeton in early April, but second dates on the schedule with Duke and North Carolina, a meeting with Virginia on the road, and Charlottesville at the end of April. Chris, I think you nailed it. For the Syracuse Orange, they've got an opportunity here. If they can get clicking and put all the pieces together, this is a young squad that you don't want to run into down the stretch.
Well, yeah. I mean, you look at what's left on their schedule. I mean, if they win out, they'll be hosting. So I mean,
that's right.
That's the way you look at it.
Nice finish by Leo on the move. The lefty delivers. He was a 200-goal scorer at St. Anthony's, and he's had a nice return to Long Island. Another multi-goal scorer. Now 5 multi-goal scorers for Syracuse tonight.
And I think, we're looking at, a defense maybe that's a little tired now for Hofstra. They were going such high pressure. Look out.
Can Rudd answer? Not that time.
That was close.
Sure was.
For Mark on the run out. But I think you look at there was so much high pressure defense from Hofstra to start the game, and then they got stuck playing a lot of defense for some missed clears and some penalties that it looks like maybe they're a little tired right now.
And Hofstra does indeed answer on the second bid. Matt Elder, the grad student from Mooresville, North Carolina, his 4th goal of the year.
Yeah, and I think there's one thing you count on from Hofstra team. There's no give. I mean, they're gonna fight to the last whistle no matter what the score is, and they're going out there and continuing to play hard. This is the matchup you're looking for. You get the shorty. The slide's not coming. They're going to give him the shot from that angle. Just got to bury it.
Yeah, we talked to
early.
Seth Tierney. Go ahead.
That's two procedure calls going against Syracuse. So a little bit early on the jump. So something to look out for. If they jump again, that's going to be a penalty.
And of course, the primary goal, more often than not, it's a one-bid league, the CAA. For Hofstra, this is its final game of the non-conference schedule. It's league play from here on out. Their final 7 games. They got Fairfield coming up on March 18th, this coming Saturday. So for the Pride, they've got some young players that were on the all-rookie team last year. Gerard Kane, the goalie, Matt Gates, Rory Jones. We've seen his capability, and John Madsen has really burst onto the scene. The way he's put the ball in the back of the net after playing in just 7 games last year. Madsen scored just 2 goals in 7 games last season for the Pride. Hofstra's another one. If they can put it together with the experience they have on closed defense, they could be a surprise in the CAA.
Yeah, and I think there's some opportunities. And there's another quick, easy one for Syracuse. Spallina again.
Joey Spallina, hat trick. He has just feasted on teams in non-conference play. Had 5 Gs against UAlbany, 5 Gs against Holy Cross. I think he's happy to make a return to Long Island to remind the people how great he was in his time on the island.
Well, I mean, that's 6 points. I mean, that's a good game. I mean, I think you look at it, he's playing well on the ride. He's mixing it up. I mean, throwing a couple of flags. He's got some fire in his belly for sure. So, I mean, that's a really nice game. Probably not done yet.
And now it's Syracuse by a touchdown, 14-7.
Well, I think you were looking. You're talking about this Hofstra squad, and they've got a chance for some quality wins in conference. Also, when you look at Towson, you look at Delaware, Drexel, all getting votes, and so those are teams that are good teams. And so if they go out there and get some quality wins, I mean, they certainly will be a team to look out for. They've got some talent.
Oh, without question. And Seth Tierney, the way he builds his programs, very businesslike, but also he gets the most out of his players because he is just consistent all the way through. But his guy's excited for the challenge. Elder getting more looks now on offense, 12 in the white jersey. He just scored for the Pride a few minutes ago.
Give him the shot on that one.
But first thing Seth said when we spoke to him, the goal is to win the conference. Gerard Kane with a low to high rip. Hits some
great
pipe.
Kick save. That's a great kick save.
Yeah, Mark he did everything he could there. Mark, the former LIU Shark in the goal in the NEC, 2-time goaltender of the year. He's giving Gary Gate experience between the pipes in his second season.
Yeah, some of the luxury of being able to, pluck some gems from the transfer portal.
Oh, and for Will Mark, he faced this Hofstra team a few times when he was at LIU. Given the proximity, Hofstra and LIU often got together in the non-conference. Last year, he allowed 11 goals, made 4 saves. LIU won the game 14-11. So for Mark, his familiarity playing Hofstra is paying off again. So we're under 10 minutes to go in regulation. Syracuse leads 14-7. The kick pass there by the Orange. It was Birtwistle. Orange get it back. A failed clear. Shot on the move. And Roa is denied.
It looked like Barry just snatched that last pass out of the air before losing the handle. But that was a heads-up defensive play. What a finish.
What a play by the pole, Danny DeSanti.
Switches hands, rolling away from the defense and buries it while he's falling down. I mean, that's a great finish. I mean, that's a finish you'd be happy that one of your midfielders or attackmen made. But to have a pole go out there and do it, I mean, you watch it. It's a great handle just to bring it down. Little fake, rolls away, switches hands, gets it into his left, and then a bounce shot. Quite a bit of juice on that for going down. And it's tough to judge coming out of the stick no matter what. But if you're falling down and it's coming out of the long pole, I mean, good luck.
Chris, to tell you the truth, I didn't think he was shooting that because A, I thought he'd roll out and feed one of his attackmen, and B, I thought he'd get tripped up, but it turns out he's got enough under his legs.
Well, when he started going down there, he didn't have a whole lot of options.
That's true.
He was gonna go down. So it's like you might as well take the shot, but he had quite a bit of power on that. That was an impressive look.
Patterson did a good job off winning the faceoff for Hofstra. Rudd circles around the cage, kicks out Elder. Elder getting some more run with Griffin Turner. He got banged up early in the early in the first half. We hope he's okay. Turner, one of their starting midfielders, the sophomore from Danville. As we approach 8 minutes now to go in regulation. Hofstra at 2-4, Syracuse 3-4. Orange has dropped 4 straight to ranked opponents. You can say all you want, get right game, but with the weather, Syracuse, of course, thrives playing indoors because of the Carrier Dome or now the JMA Wireless Dome. But with one win in the last 680 plus days, and they've got answers tonight. Hiltz from up top. Hat trick for Owen Hiltz. His third hattie of the season. Had one last game against Hopkins, and he had one earlier in the year against UAlbany.
Yeah, and the ball is just exploding out of his stick right now. I mean, we've seen some really quick releases from Syracuse. I mean, just like confidence, catch release quickly and putting that in the back of the net. So I think you look, and again, it's great off-ball movement. I mean, feet never stop, catches it, and then shoots it immediately.
Owen Hiltz entered tonight's game, top 30 point scorer in the country, 5th in the ACC in assists. And you feel tremendous for the young man because he had to miss all of last year due to injury. And it's never great timing, don't get me wrong, but to get hurt in the preseason when you're just a few weeks away from your first game, really happy for the young man from Peterborough to get back out on the field. IL midseason All-America honorable mention. And I think it's pretty safe to say, and of course, there's a lot of talent in the ACC, but he'll be on some watch lists by all media outlets. Syracuse up 15-8. Trevor Natalie, the Jacksonville transfer, misses wide for Hofstra.
It's a good take, though.
He was open.
I mean, so Hofstra's creating some good offense right now.
Chris, I think they've had some decent looks tonight, but I will say, I think Syracuse has done a pretty good job locking in on John Madsen. Had that one goal early in the game. They've forced Madsen to continue to move the ball. They're not giving him much opportunity tonight.
Well, and that's what you're trying to do. I mean, you got a guy who's got a hot hand. He's one of their best players, and you want to make the other guys beat you. And the problem with a team like Syracuse, when you're trying to make the other guys beat you, they do. When you look at so many different goal scorers and the depth that they're scoring, and that's what makes them a problem.
Oh, tremendous feed, Madsen. Almost. Somehow he snared that ball out of the air.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that got through, and then did really well to get the shot off.
I was ready to eat my words and bite my tongue after calling the young man out for being locked down tonight.
When you see, because like the shots are pretty even. It's 45 versus 46. 46 shots for Hofstra. They have 21 on frame versus 27 for Syracuse, which is obviously a better percentage. But I think Syracuse is just getting better shots. And so, obviously if you're playing from behind a little bit, you got to be more volume shooters. But I think they had a little bit more opportunity to be a little bit more patient on the offensive side. I mean, because Hofstra has guys who can beat you and that can score goals. So I think if they'd been a little bit more patient, they might have had a better opportunity offensively.
And Syracuse had a lot of really nice looks in the Hopkins game. 30 of their 42 shots were on the goal. Problem is they ran into a hot goaltender and just couldn't bury him. And you could feel the anxiety, might not be the best word, but you could feel the
tension.
Tension's a good word, because frustration would seem like upset. But yeah, the tension Gary Gait had in his voice about his team just being right there, but couldn't finish games. And I would have to imagine, despite leading by 7, Gary Gait wants his team, like you said earlier, to be all gas, no breaks, to put the finishing touches, tie a bow on this game.
Well, I think that, that's the way they always played. I mean, you go out there and you play hard, you go through your offense, and if there's a goal there, you take it. And I don't think of that as, running it up. I mean, this isn't running up a score by any means. It's not like it's 30-8. This is still a game, and stranger things have happened in this sport, especially. But I think it is so important to get the reps when you've got a young team and a team that doesn't have experience together, and every one of those reps counts and is important. And so you got to go out there and continue to run your offense.
That was a good look for Rory Jones, who has scored 2 tonight. Sykes, the other multi-goal scorer. Sykes scored the first 2 of the game. He's been neutralized since. Hofstra led 3-0. If you tuned in late, you might be thinking, well, Syracuse has had its way. It's imposed its will tonight on Long Island. That was not the case in the first few minutes. Syracuse was trailing 3-0, 6 minutes into the game, and then they just went off. And for Joey Spallina, too, he was locked up against Duke, had a man-up goal against Hopkins. This was a get-right game, it felt like, for the whole Syracuse offense, but for Spallina more specifically, he's had his way tonight against the Pride. Spallina with 3-3, Hiltz with 3-3.
Yeah, they've looked sharp, offensively. I mean, you have to think that, the way that the defense was able to lock them up for Hopkins is something they took personally. And they came out firing today for sure.
I think we got ourselves a timeout taken by one of the two teams.
Looks like it's going to be Hofstra, I think.
Yep.
I got 13 seconds left on the shot clock here.
We will take the break and come back for the final few minutes. 4:02 to play. Syracuse 15, Hofstra 8 on LacrosseTV. Someone clipped the midfield shot, and the score bug said 0-0-0. Welcome back. We are on Long Island. Hofstra trailing Syracuse 15-8. This is our CAA game of the week on LacrosseTV. Tuesday night lacrosse. It's been a wild ride. Syracuse was down 3-0 early. Hofstra took advantage of the rest, clearly, came out hot on offense, and you started to think, did that loss for Syracuse, the way they sort of gave that one away in the fourth quarter, thanks to their turnovers on Saturday against Johns Hopkins, was that bleeding over into a midweek game. Syracuse then got some really nice looks by Birtwistle, Hiltz, Birtwistle again to tie the game at 3. Rory Jones put the Pride up 4-3. Then Syracuse went on a monster run. Syracuse scored 7 straight goals. That was deep into the third quarter, and they've had control of this game ever since.
Yeah, and I think especially for me, it was the 2 early goals in the third quarter. You look at Hofstra rebounding from that last second goal to end the first quarter and holding Syracuse to just 2 goals. And then you're looking at a 7-4 deficit going into the third quarter. And it felt like, Hofstra had settled down and that they were in a good spot, to give themselves an opportunity to win this game. And those 2 quick ones in the first, 90 or so seconds of the third quarter, I think really kind of opened this game up. You have to play a little bit more volume shooting on the offensive side to try and get back into it. And they just weren't creating as good of opportunities as you would have hoped and as they were creating to start the game.
Syracuse's struggles this season, one of them has been finishing games. There's Spallina. I think they're not taking their foot off the gas tonight.
Well, and I don't think they should. I mean, like we talked about. I mean, you look at a team that's young and you look at a team that hasn't played very much lacrosse together. I mean, these are reps that matter. You can't replicate it at practice. I mean, it doesn't matter how hard you're playing. You're going out there against a team that's playing real hard, but this comes down to off-ball movement. And he knows exactly where he's going to put that ball before he catches it. Sets his feet, puts it in the back of the net. But again, it's getting lost on the backside. And I think that's where we've seen Syracuse be the most successful. They're finding opportunities on the backside. They're back cutting their defenders. Defenders aren't keeping their head on a swivel. And so that's where Syracuse has been able to take advantage with those skip passes and quick shots, especially the quick releases. I mean, lightning fast releases that we've seen from Syracuse.
Without question. And their man-up offense is as advertised. Seeing it tonight in Hempstead, outdoors, not in the dome, where passing can be a bit easier without the elements. Tonight, a lot of wind at James M. Shuart Stadium. There was snow this morning, rained in the afternoon, but wind has been the biggest factor. You can just see Madsen's jersey blowing in the wind right now. Syracuse 3 for 5 on the man-up tonight. Entered tonight with the best man-up goal number at 21, entering tonight, 21 of 36, 58%, one of the best clips in the country. And that has been on display. Spallina with 4 and 3 tonight. Hiltz 3 and 3. Finn Thomson 2 and 2. And by the way, that last man-up goal was scored because of a Trevor Natalie delay of game. Hofstra just got another penalty for an illegal body check.
Yeah, and that one came out on the shot after the shot clock. After I saw that's kind of a soft call, honestly, at this point in the game. But I mean, I guess in the interest of consistency.
That's right, Chris. Come on, we talked about that already. Consistency, right?
It matters.
So for Spallina, now up to 21 goals on the season. 2 more on the man-up. So he's got 8 man-up goals. His assist tally tonight, 3. So he's up to 13. 21 and 13, now 34 points.
Of the game. Second 7-point game of the season.
And he's had now 4 straight multi-assist games. He was more of a feeder in the Hopkins game, finding his teammates, had 1 and 3 in the Hopkins game. But it's still a long way to go in this season, and that is a good thing for Spallina. But you got to go way back in time now. The last time a Syracuse freshman wore the number 22 and shined like this in the first half of a year. Jordan Evans was the last freshman to wear 22 for the Orange. If Spallina keeps this up, he's going to put himself in the conversation with the Gates, the Powells, in terms of guys that burst onto the scene early in their career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Pat Spencer is another guy that you look at. Chris Gray, That came out the gate just absolutely firing. And I mean, you look at those guys that are scoring, 300 plus points. I mean, they gotta come out hot. There's no time to recover. But I think when you look at where he's at now, you look at some of those guys, 4-time kind of All-American types, Trevor Baptiste, Rick Beardsley. I mean, especially with Rick, is it 4-time first-team All-American? I mean, that's the sort of thing that's some real rare air up there. Still a lot of season left.
No question. 8 games to go for Syracuse, 3 more in the non-conference. They play St. Bonaventure next. They host Hobart. They go to Princeton. And as we talked about, they still have a date with Notre Dame, Virginia, and a pair of rematches, one with UNC and another with Duke. They've played both of those teams, Carolina and Duke, at home. So that's where it's problematic. They got to go on the road and win some of those games.
Well, and for these individual accolades, results matter. So I mean, you gotta go out there and get the points, but you got to get the results. And I mean, you have to think that that's what's more important, to these players. And knowing, Big Joe, the results matter a lot. And so, I mean, I don't think he's scoring for the sake of scoring. He wants to win the games.
Final seconds trickled down at James M. Shuart Stadium. It wasn't pretty. 6 minutes in, Syracuse trailed 3-0. And then late in the first, this high-powered offense that has so much potential got going. Syracuse defeats Hofstra 16-8 in Hempstead.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hard-fought game. I mean, I think this game's closer than the scoreboard. I think Hofstra gave themselves opportunities to stay in this game. I think you get a little tired playing a lot of defense, getting a couple of mistakes. But I mean, I think they played well enough to keep themselves in this game. I mean, they took more than 50 shots. 21 were on the frame, so not as many as you'd like. Not many of their final shots hit the frame, but they won 19 faceoffs. Gates went out there and had 12 saves. So I think there's some really encouraging things to look at if you're Hofstra. And the other part is, this is a really talented